Hi everyone, it's Lori and welcome to the channel. I recently was able to visit Hilton Head Island in the season of winter, and this is a nature Audubon park. It is absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to go back in the spring or especially maybe in the fall. So you can see right now there's just a lot of natural grasses, and there were some driftwood, some trees. So as I walked this park, I of course was looking for birds, and I did find some closer to the water. But I also took it as an opportunity to look beyond what you normally would shoot in a space like this, because in the season of winter, you get to see things in their bare form. And so as I was walking and just taking it slow and really observing the world around me, I noticed some pieces of driftwood and I noticed some bare trees, and I really wanted to capture those and edit them in a way that really showcased their beauty and almost creating sculptures. So I'm going to show you the images that I was able to capture, and then we will walk through editing a couple of my favorite natural sculpture images. Let's jump right in. So I wanted to show you a few images that I took from this incredible nature park. I was able to shoot some just really interesting, I think, landscape scenes. This is winter time, but I love the structure that winter provides. And this was kind of a rainy, overcast day. So I just really, this tree and the branches spoke to me. So I want to give this a real kind of moody image, a little bit of a winter vibe. So we're going to work on that. I also really liked this driftwood out in the grasses. I was not able to get a wider shot of it because of the lens that I took with me this day, but I'm going to play with it and see what I can do to just make this almost like a sculpture. So we'll play around with that. I took this kind of just path scene. I love that it said main road. I may just clean this up a little bit and play around with that one. I also did some intentional camera movement of the grasses, and I really liked the texture and feel like we could bring some of that detail out. This was another one. Now, I don't like how it did the house, so I may work on just cloning all of this out and maybe just playing with the grass texture here. I'm not sure. Also on this day, I was able to catch a woodpecker with some various, I think he was eating some berries or something that was growing on the tree. So I'm not normally a bird photographer, but this was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed trying to capture this sweet little guy. So worked on editing these just a little bit the other day. This was a blue heron that I saw during this trip, and wish he would have spread his wings or taken off. We were there for a little while and he didn't have any activity, and then it started to rain. Another ICM image where I did camera movement just to show all the textures in this gorgeous forest. So let's jump in and get started first with this image. So I wanted to show you this video and these images because during winter, sometimes it can be discouraging, or you don't maybe feel like there's a lot of things to shoot. But I think capturing the seasons is what is beautiful. And I like to go out and let nature speak at different times of year. So I think this is a great example of looking for structure, looking for things in nature that provide structure, almost like a statue that speaks to you, almost like art that you can use in your photography. So let's get started. I'm first going to kind of straighten that tree up just a little bit. And I think I want to crop the sky just a little bit. I'm going to leave this foreground. I want to make the foreground a little bit greater to kind of show a little bit of distance to that tree. Now my histogram looks pretty good. I am going to bring down the highlights a little bit. Yeah. And I think the next thing that I want to do, I really want to add a little moodiness to this. So let me just go ahead and add a vignette to see kind of what it does to bring in that focus. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and start with masking. So I'm going to go to a linear gradient, and I want to just come down to those trees. I could have done a select sky, but I think the linear will be a little bit softer. And what I want to do now is just make this temperature a lot bluer. And I'm also going to go ahead and make it darker. There we go. I just want to make that sky a little bit more detailed. I could try dehaze because I know, yeah, I don't want to do that dehaze. I'm actually probably going to reduce clarity on the sky, just make it really soft, but a little bit darker there, a little moodier. Could also bring down the blacks. There we go. All right, so I'm liking that so far. Now I'm going to go ahead and add another linear gradient, and I'm going to take this one from the bottom. I love linear gradients. I think it's a great tool to put a mask where you want it, but also for the softness that it provides. So this time I want to come down to effects as well, and I'm just going to increase the texture here. I could also increase a little bit of clarity just to make those grasses kind of pop a little bit more. And I'm also going to try a little bit of saturation there. Let's see the color. Yeah, I just want to give it a little more tinge of the orange color. So you can use your backslash key to see your before and now after. So it's getting there. This is getting to more what I envisioned when I was shooting the image. So let's go back to our basic, and I think now I want to work on the tree and also this water. So let's start with the water. Again, I'm going to use masking. So I'm going to create a new mask. And for this one, let's try objects. I'm going to see what it does to select that water area. Okay, it did a good job. So I'm going to bring down the highlights in the water. I'm going to darken it a little. And let's also change the temp. I don't want to make it too blue. Maybe just a little blueness to it. Now I need to add to this mask because if you're following along closely, there's some water over here and we just don't want it to look like I missed it. So yeah, I'm just going to darken that area. All right, so I like that. Now I'm going to do another mask, objects. If you follow my videos, you know that I really like the object tool. I think it's one of the easiest. Now that went over just a little bit, but I really think it will be okay. Just going to darken that water, bring down the highlights. And I think the temperature and color on that one is just fine. Maybe bring down the whites because I want our story to be more about this tree. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is do a mask, and we're going to do, we could try select subject. I don't know if it will select the tree or not. Let's see what happens. You almost never know, so sometimes it's worth trying. Yeah, it just didn't get it. So I'm going to delete that mask. You can just click those three dots. I'm going to create a new one and use objects. Let's see if it will pick it up for us. All right, it did okay. I think what I'm going to do is click these three dots and do intersect mask with, and I'm going to do color range. So this is going to tell it I only want the color that is on our tree. There we go. So now we've pretty much got the tree. I think it's done a pretty good job. So let's try it. What I want to do here is increase the exposure. Just really make our tree stand out. And if I zoom in, whoops, let me undo what I just did. Let's zoom in. I don't think it went over too much. Whoops, I don't want that either. Let me go ahead and go back to fit. And then let's enlarge. All right, so I like that. It's making that tree stand out. We can also scroll down and we could add some texture to our tree. I don't know why my screen is not wanting to maneuver around. So let me get out of the mask for a minute and move this back down. It's funny, when you're in the mask, you cannot maneuver very well, so it can make it challenging. So we can go back to our mask And here's the mask we were working on. We've got the color range, the object selection. And so what I want to do with that at the end of color range, I want to come down and let's try just a little clarity. We could also do some sharpness. So just want to make that stand out. And I don't use contrast a lot, but I think for this tree, I want to add a little bit. And I'm going to actually lower on the tone curve the whites. I don't want it, I want it to stand out, but I don't want it to be like, you know, I don't want it to be strange looking. I want it to fit the scene. Okay, so let's get out of that. We'll come back in and zoom in. And I think at this point, I'm going to try bringing down the midtones. There we go. Just giving that a final look. So this was before, just kind of a plain gray day image. But here's after, and it's just really highlighting the beautiful structure of this tree out in the grasses on just a winter day. So I think it's fun. All right, next, let's look at this ICM image. This should be a really quick edit. I'm gonna come in first and clean up this one spot that the camera picked up. So we got rid of that. And the first thing that I like to do with ICM images is add some contrast. Look at what the difference it does. It brings out that detail. Now for this image, I'm going to go ahead and crop the top of this. And I think I'm just going to bring it in just a little bit. Click enter. And really, that's all I want to do to this image. I could add a little bit more texture. And the only other thing I could do is I could do a color range. And what I want to do is select just that tiny bits of that lighter color that's in there. So I'm going to just make it really tiny. And I'm just going to give those just a little pop, of exposure. So that's just bringing out those details. I could do another one. So let's do color range again. And this time I'm going to select one up here. Going to use the refine tool. Just really refine that. And then I'm just going to add a little pop. That's just bringing out all that texture. Now, some of you may not like this type of image. You may like something not as abstract, but I love texture. And I just think it's a fun way to express the grasses in this scene. Now this image is going to take me a little bit more work to play with. Now we could try a crop here and just see, you know, what happens. And that's not bad. It's just kind of a plain grasses image. And that's okay. I'll show you adding the contrast to it. And that could be fun. I think though what I want to do is actually probably take it into Photoshop and work on cloning this. So I'm going to play with this one on another day and I'll try to take you along for that. All right, so this one was tricky because I wasn't able to get the full scene. However, I think that I got it on my cell phone. So let me pause for a second and see if I can find the wider shot and maybe we'll edit that image together. Able to find the full scene image that was in the video. So I think what I'm going to do for this image is, I don't think the water is necessary. I'm just going to see how it looks to kind of make it a square and probably need to straighten it just a little bit. Maybe modify the crop, just give that a little bit more. This is one where we could extend the canvas in Photoshop, and that might be the trick. So let's just go ahead, reduce our highlights, open up our shadows a little bit. Let me add a little mood to the image. I'm going to come down and go ahead and add a vignette. And let's play with the temperature. I'm going to give it actually more golden hue. Yeah, our sky is a little bit boring. Let's go ahead and do that linear gradient. And I'm just going to kind of, edge that down. Just going to darken it. Darken the trees there a little bit and alter the tint just a little bit more blue. All right, and then let's go ahead and do another mask, objects, and let's select this driftwood. And it did did okay. I think I need to intersect it with a mask using color range. So let's do intersect with color range, and we're just going to select the driftwood. There we go. So that is a great trick when sometimes you have something complicated like this. So now what I want to do is give this a little bit more exposure, darken the blacks, add a little bit of contrast to it, and we can come down and add and kind of pump up that texture. And yeah, I like it a little bit brighter. Okay, back to basic. Now what I'm going to do is right click, and I want to edit in Photoshop. And what we're going to do is see how well it does at extending our canvas and replicating these grasses, because that's really the shot that I wanted. So I don't use the Photoshop AI technology very often at all, but I do like the new, let's get out of this menu. I do like the new option to do the extend the canvas. So what I'm going to do is stretch this over. I want that driftwood, yeah, pretty much kind of right there at the rule of thirds. And what we're going to do is come up here, and we want to do content, not content aware, we want to do generative expand. That is the AI. So we're going to click that, and I'm going to click the checkbox, and it is going to try to match the image. We'll see how well it does. It's going to give us several variations. If you haven't played with this, I have another video on it that I'll link below. It's a lot of fun. Now, you can also still use the, let's see, I don't need the videos. So, wow, it did a fantastic job. Look at that. The trees, the grasses, it just did a fantastic job. So I'm really, really pleased with this. I don't know why it's giving me these instructions, but I'm just going to click done, see if that goes away. I don't want to continue to the videos. I think this is just one of those help screens that has gotten messed up. So we're going to ignore that, but look how great it did. I don't see any issue with the way it cloned this. I could have used the clone tool and done it. I could have used content aware fill, but this new generative expand does a nice job. So what I'm going to do now is just do file, save, and I don't need to compress the image. I'm going to keep it the way it is. And once it saves, there is a trick. If you're using the cloud version of Lightroom, you do need to close the image out of Photoshop, and then it will pop back over here into Lightroom once it's ready. So we'll give that just a second. So I think this generative expand or the content aware fill is exactly what this image needed. Unfortunately, I only carried one lens with me this day. It was a chance of rain, and we were walking, and I just wanted to have lightweight gear. And so I only had, my minimum focus distance was a 70, and this area was a little bit close to the trail. All right, so the other image has popped up, and we can give this a view. So I think it's nice. It just gives the sculpture some space to breathe. And I think, I mean, man, the content aware and the cloning just worked fantastic. So this is what this area looked like, but I wasn't able to get it with my lens. So I'm really happy with this image. I'm happy with making this sculpture really stand out, just like we did with this tree, which was in the similar area. So I hope you will get out during this season of winter and go to some nature parks. Think about places that have things that might be just barren and that you can really make sculptures out in nature and bring them to life through some minor tweaks and editing. Thanks so much for joining and watching, and I hope that you have a great day. Thanks, everybody.